When it comes to a person, I would like to talk about my friend. His name is Park Hoon, and he is my friend, one of my close friends. Actually, he is a film director. He's not really a famous director in Korea, but even though he's not well known, I still admire him. He's not a big name in the Korean film industry, but I know him because I am a big fan of his work. I have watched a lot of films directed by him, and I am truly impressed and amazed by his talent and abilities. Describe an occasion that you lost something in public. When I visited the village with Director Park, something unfortunate happened. I lost my phone. My phone is something I always carry with me, and I never leave it behind. But perhaps I was too careless that day, and somehow I lost it. I searched everywhere but couldn't find it. I felt so upset, thinking that I had lost it forever. Describe a time when you organized a happy event successfully. That day was also my birthday, and I wanted to do something special. I decided to organize a small birthday celebration in the village and invited my friends, including my dear friend, Director Park. Despite losing my phone earlier in the day, I still wanted to make the most of the occasion and enjoy the moment with the people I cherished. Describe a special meal someone cooked for you. A truly heartwarming surprise was that Director Park himself cooked my birthday meal. He even made a birthday cake from scratch. It was a touching moment because I never expected him to prepare something so special just for me. Describe a type of favorite food that you ate at a special event. The birthday cake he made was my absolute favorite. I have always loved cakes, and his was incredibly delicious. The sweetness was just right, with a perfect balance of rich flavors. The decorations were beautiful, proving that his artistic sense extended beyond filmmaking. Describe a person who is good at making things by hand, toys, furniture, etc. To my surprise, Director Park turned out to be highly skilled in baking. He jokingly said he had the hands of a chef, and after tasting his cake, I had to agree. He made everything by hand, carefully decorating the cake with an artistic touch. It was clear that his creativity wasn't limited to movies. He was truly gifted in crafting beautiful things. Describe a time when someone gave you something that you really wanted. At the end of the birthday celebration, Park suddenly handed me a gift. To my shock, it was my lost phone. He told me that he had found it near a river in the village, but wanted to keep it a surprise until the right moment. I was overwhelmed with happiness and gratitude. My phone was not just an expensive item, it was something I valued deeply. Having it back, especially in such an unexpected way, made the day even more unforgettable. Describe a place in a village that you have visited. I once visited a small village in South Korea with my old friend, Director Park. This village appeared in his famous movie Mother. I still remember how it looked in the film, poor, desolate, and struggling. When I finally saw it in real life, it felt exactly the same. The houses were old and worn, and the villagers seemed to live a hard life. It was fascinating to see how the movie had captured the village's true essence. Describe an interesting place you have been to with a friend. Going there with Director Park made the experience even more special. He told me stories about filming Mother and how this place had once been full of life. I could feel his deep connection to the village. Walking through the same streets that had appeared in the film was like stepping into a scene from his masterpiece. The atmosphere, the rustic charm, it all felt surreal. Describe a quiet place you like to go. The village was incredibly quiet. There were only a few people still living there, making it feel almost abandoned. There were no busy markets, no loud conversations, just the sound of the wind and birds in the distance. It was peaceful, yet it carried a sense of loneliness. The silence allowed me to fully absorb the surroundings, making the experience even more memorable. Describe a time you visited a new place. This village was a completely new experience for me. Despite its simplicity, it left a deep impression on me. Seeing it in person made me appreciate the raw beauty of untouched places. It felt like stepping into a forgotten world where time moved slower and life was much simpler. Describe a tourist attraction that very few people visit, but you think is interesting. According to Park, this village used to be a well-known tourist attraction. However, over time, fewer and fewer people visited. Maybe it was because the place lacked excitement or modern attractions. It had no fancy restaurants or entertainment, just the village itself. But for me, as a fan of Mother, it was a hidden gem. The scenery, the memories from the movie, and the emotions it evoked made it one of the most special places I had ever visited. When it comes to a person, I would like to talk about my friend. His name is Park Hoon, and he is my friend, one of my close friends. Actually, he is a film director. He's not really a famous director in Korea, but even though he's not well known, I still admire him. He's not a big name in the Korean film industry, but I know him because I am a big fan of his work. I have watched a lot of films directed by him, and I am truly impressed and amazed by his talent and abilities. Describe someone you like to spend time with. Director Park is someone I truly enjoy spending time with. Our conversations are always deep and insightful, often lasting for hours. Despite being over 50 years old, he has an incredible amount of wisdom and life experience to share. To me, he is like a mentor, a father figure, and a friend, all in one. Describe an old friend you have lost touch with and got in touch with again. 2 years ago, I met him in South Korea, and we became friends. However, after returning to Vietnam, I lost contact with him completely. Fortunately, 2 years later, he visited Vietnam for a press conference to introduce his new film. I attended the event and had the chance to reunite with him, allowing us to reconnect and stay in touch again. Describe an interesting discussion you had with your friend. Since he has lived for more than 5 decades, he has a wealth of knowledge and countless fascinating stories. Every time we meet, we engage in deep discussions, and I always come away having learned something valuable. His thoughts and insights are truly something I admire. Describe a story someone told you and you remember bar. One of the most memorable stories he shared with me was about how he learned to incorporate music into his films. He told me that the key to mastering this art was to read extensively, listen to a wide variety of music, and develop a deep passion for both music and cinema. Although his explanation was quite abstract and complex, I still remember it vividly. Describe a person who thinks music is important and enjoys music. After hearing his story, we had an intriguing discussion about music. I asked him if he had a particular taste in music, and I was surprised to discover that his preferences were vastly different from mine. The songs he introduced to me were complex and not easy to listen to casually. They required patience, thought, and serious engagement to truly appreciate. It made me realize why his films are so profound, thought-provoking, and emotionally haunting. They reflect his unique artistic vision and deep connection to music. Describe a person who always has strong opinions. Director Park is also someone with very strong opinions, especially regarding music and cinema. He refuses to make commercial films just to please audiences or generate profit. For him, filmmaking is about passion, artistic expression, and the pursuit of true creativity. His films carry a distinctive signature that only he can create, and his dedication to art is something I deeply respect. Describe an old person you know who has had an interesting life. Director Park has spent over 30 years in the film industry, dedicating his life to cinema and artistic expression. As someone deeply passionate about his craft, he has experienced a life filled with creativity, challenges, and achievements. I believe that people who devote themselves to the arts with such burning passion always lead fascinating lives. Every project he has worked on carries a part of his soul, and his journey as a filmmaker is truly inspiring. Describe an ambition that you haven't achieved. Since I have a profound love for all forms of art, whether it's music, film, or literature, I greatly admire those who have the courage to pursue their artistic dreams. Seeing someone like Director Park, who has spent decades creating meaningful works, makes me long for the same path. I wish I had the courage and resources to chase my own artistic dreams in the future. If I ever have the opportunity, I hope to step into the world of creativity and make something that truly resonates with people. 48.1. Do young children like the same stories as older children? It depends on the child. Some kids stick to their favorite stories no matter how old they get, while others develop new interests as they grow. For example, a child might love fairy tales when they're young, but as they get older, they prefer adventure or teenage fiction. So the answer is yes and no. It all depends on the child's personality. 2. How has technology changed storytelling? Nowadays, there are many ways to tell a story. People can use movies, books, videos, music, or even voiceover narration to share a story. So I think technology has made storytelling more diverse, interesting, and engaging compared to the past. In the past, stories were told mainly through books or by word of mouth, but now we have movies, animated videos, audiobooks, podcasts, and even interactive stories that make storytelling more exciting and immersive. It's more engaging and appealing than ever before. 3. How do people tell stories to children? It's similar to my previous answer. Nowadays, people don't just tell stories with words. They use books, movies, cartoons, and even songs to make stories more fun and engaging for kids. 4. Why do children like stories? I think every story is about a different life, event, or issue, and it is always told in an interesting and engaging way. Stories stimulate children's curiosity and keep them excited because they are often well-written and captivating. I believe it's natural for humans to love storytelling. However, children tend to be more fascinated and curious, which makes them even more attracted to stories. Even adults enjoy a good story, but kids are more curious and easily captivated by the magic of storytelling. That's why they are so drawn to stories. 54.1. Do Vietnamese people grow their own food? Of course, yes. Vietnamese people grow a lot of different types of food, especially fruits and vegetables. In Vietnam, it's very easy to buy fresh produce at a cheap price because people grow a variety of crops. Vietnamese people also raise livestock, but growing fruits and vegetables is more common. That's why food in Vietnam is quite affordable compared to other countries. 2. What kind of food is generally popular in your country? I think Vietnamese bread, bánh mì, is one of the most popular foods in Vietnam. It's loved by both locals and foreigners because it's delicious, convenient, and affordable. Besides that, noodle-based dishes like pho and bún bò Huế are also very common in Vietnam. Personally, I love bánh mì so much that I eat it about 4 to 5 times a week. It's available almost everywhere, making it a perfect on-the-go meal. 3. Why do some people prefer growing their own food? Some people prefer to grow their own food because they want to ensure it is clean and safe. In Vietnam, it can be difficult to tell whether food from the market is safe or contaminated. That's why many people, including my parents, choose to grow their own vegetables. Even though it takes time and effort, it gives them peace of mind knowing their food is 100% clean and organic. Many people choose to grow their own food mainly because it guarantees better quality and safety. In Vietnam, there are concerns about food safety, so some people feel more comfortable growing their own vegetables. For example, my parents prefer to grow their own greens rather than buying them from the market. Even though it requires time and effort, it allows them to enjoy fresh and chemical-free food, which makes it totally worth it. 4. Will more people grow their own food in the future? I think growing food at home is only a temporary solution. In the future, as food safety regulations become stricter, people won't need to grow their own food anymore. Large food suppliers will have to ensure their products are clean and safe, making it more convenient for people to buy food instead of growing it themselves. Since farming takes a lot of time and effort, I believe that in the future, people will simply rely on trusted food suppliers. 62.1. Do you prefer to go out with a group of friends or just with a few close friends? I prefer to go out only with my close friends because I am an introvert. I tend to feel shy and reserved around new people, and I feel more comfortable when spending time with close friends. So, I definitely prefer hanging out with a few close friends rather than a big group. 2. Does technology help people communicate better with others? Yes, of course. Technology has made communication much easier with computers, laptops, tablets, and smartphones. Now, we can stay in touch with others no matter how far apart we are through text messages, phone calls, and social media. So I think technology is very useful for communication. 3. Can talking with people improve social skills? Yes. The more you practice something, the better you become at it. So if you want to improve your social skills, You must spend time talking to people and interacting with them regularly. Over time, you will gain confidence and develop better communication skills. 4. Why don't some people like to socialize? I can understand this because too much socializing can be exhausting, especially for introverts. Some people prefer to spend time alone and work independently rather than being around others all the time. For example, I am an introvert, and while I know socializing is necessary, I still prefer spending time alone to recharge my energy. If I socialize too much, I feel drained and exhausted, and I need some alone time to recover. 63. 1. Should tourist attractions be free to the public? I don't think they should be free. If a place is free, too many people will visit, and this could lead to overcrowding. That's why I think there should be an entrance fee, but it needs to be reasonable. This fee can help the management team operate the site more efficiently and ensure it remains well maintained. If these places were completely free, it would be hard for them to sustain themselves in the long run. 2. How can people prevent environmental damage caused by tourism? I think raising people's awareness is the key. Along with that, strict regulations should be enforced and closely monitored by the authorities to minimize damage. That's the only way to protect the environment from the negative effects of tourism. 3. Do you think tourism causes environmental damage? Yes, to some extent. Tourism often leads to urban expansion, meaning more buildings, roads, and facilities are constructed. This results in air pollution, noise pollution, and deforestation to make space for development. So, while tourism brings economic benefits, it also has negative environmental consequences. 4. Do local people like to visit tourist attractions in their area? I think most local people are not very interested in visiting tourist attractions in their own city. Since they have lived there for a long time, they already know these places well and may have visited them many times as children. So as they grow up, these places become too familiar and they lose interest in visiting them again. 66. Chord 1. 1. What aspects do young people usually have strong opinions about? Young people often have strong opinions about family, marriage, and relationships. Nowadays, their perspectives on love and marriage are very different from those of the older generation. They believe that a marriage should only continue if both partners are happy, and that having children is not a must. Many young people even think that marriage is not necessary if they can't find the right person. I agree with this point of view because I am also young, and I believe in personal happiness and freedom of choice. 2. What aspects do older people usually have strong opinions about? Older people also have strong opinions on marriage and family, but their views are very different from younger generations. For example, many elderly people, especially in Asia, believe that everyone must get married and have children. They see marriage as a duty rather than a personal choice, and they strongly believe in family responsibilities. 3. Do you think parents should teach children to have strong opinions? Yes, I think parents should teach children to have strong opinions. It's important for children to develop their own beliefs and stand by them. They need to learn how to defend their opinions with strong arguments and logical reasoning. Without strong opinions and self-confidence, they may easily give up or follow others without thinking for themselves. 4. Do you think it is good to have strong opinions? Yes, I strongly believe that having strong opinions is a good thing. When you have strong opinions, it shows that you have deep beliefs and strong determination. However, it's also important to be open-minded and respect others' perspectives. Even if someone disagrees with you, you should be willing to listen and consider their point of view. 29 plus 32. Was. 1. What ambitions do children usually have? Children may have ambitions, like getting higher scores than others in their class. They also want to be praised or recognized by their parents and other adults. In Vietnam, children tend to seek recognition, especially from their parents and teachers. To achieve this, they try to be good kids by obeying their parents and following everything they are told to do. Children often have simple but meaningful ambitions. 2. Why are some people very ambitious in their work? I think it depends on a person's personality. Some people are naturally ambitious because they have big goals in life. They are competitive, aggressive, and determined to achieve their dreams. These people dream big and work hard. They put in a lot of effort and are confident in their abilities. They also want to get promoted as quickly as possible, so they do everything they can to reach a higher position. 3. Why don't some people have dreams? I think everyone has dreams, but some people stop believing in them. Maybe they have failed too many times, so they give up and feel like they don't deserve to dream anymore. Some people feel lost in life. They don't know why they should have dreams or what their purpose is. Because of past failures, they lose confidence in themselves and don't believe they can achieve the life they want. It's sad, but I think that's why some people stop dreaming. How do people balance work and life? To balance work and life, people need good time management. Having a well-planned schedule helps them organize their activities and maintain productivity. It's also important to know when to stop working. People shouldn't be too ambitious and overwork themselves. They need to set limits and understand how much is enough. Good time management is key to balancing work and personal life. 1. What can children learn from their parents? Children can learn a lot of things from their parents. They learn how to behave properly, how to speak kindly, and how to treat others with respect. I would say that children are like a mirror of their parents. That's why parents need to set a good example, because children tend to imitate everything their parents do, from their actions to their personality. 2. What kind of help do older people need? I think older people need emotional and mental support. Many elderly people feel lonely and want their children or grandchildren to spend more time with them. They prefer a peaceful and harmonious atmosphere rather than being alone and overthinking. So, their family members, especially their children, should care about their emotions and pay more attention to their well-being to make them happy. 3. What skills can young people learn from older people? Young people can learn a lot of valuable skills from older people. For example, they can learn life skills like patience, problem solving, and how to handle difficult situations. Older people also have more experience, so they can teach young people practical skills such as managing finances, cooking traditional meals, or even repairing things at home. Besides that, young people can learn about cultural traditions and important values from the older generation. 41.1. When do children normally form their own views? I think children start forming their own opinions when they face a certain problem in class or while playing with their friends. For example, when children have a disagreement or argument with their friends, they will need to express their own point of view to defend themselves. Through these discussions or debates, children learn to develop their own perspective on different matters. 2. Do children have strong opinions? Yes, but it depends on the child. Some children are very stubborn and will strongly defend their opinions, while others are more easygoing and open to different views. If a child truly believes that their opinion is right, they will do everything they can to protect it. If a child strongly believes they are right, they will defend their opinion with a lot of passion. 3. Should parents require kids to obey them? I think there should be a balance. In some situations, children need to obey their parents, especially when it comes to learning good manners and treating others with respect. However, parents should also respect their children's opinions and not force them to follow rules all the time. Yes, but only to a certain extent. 4. In what industries do you think communication is a necessary skill? I think communication is important in every industry. However, it is especially essential in fields related to human interaction, such as education, healthcare, sales, and customer service. Even in the entertainment industry, good communication is key to teamwork and success. If you fail to communicate well, people might misunderstand your intentions, and your team might not function efficiently. If there is poor communication, it can lead to misunderstandings and failed teamwork, which affects productivity and success. 47-1. Which do you prefer, living in a city or being a tourist? I prefer living in a city rather than being a tourist. As a tourist, it's hard to deeply understand the lifestyle, people, entertainment, and services of a city. I believe that only by living there for a long enough time, maybe a few years, can I develop a deep connection to the city and truly understand its culture. So yeah, I prefer living in a city rather than just visiting it. For me, living in a city is much better than just visiting it as a tourist. When you're a tourist, you only get a surface-level experience. You visit famous places, eat local food, and then leave. But living in a city allows you to truly understand its culture, connect with locals, and experience daily life in a meaningful way. That's why I'd rather live in a city than just be a tourist. 2. How do young children react when they go to school for the first time? I think most children feel confused, shy, and hesitant at first because it's a new environment. They need time to get used to new friends and adapt to their surroundings. I remember when I was little, I also felt very nervous and afraid when I first went to a new school. It took me a while to adjust and feel comfortable. Most children feel nervous and shy when they go to school for the first time because it's a completely new experience. They don't know anyone yet, so they need time to adjust, make friends, and understand the new environment. 3. Why do some people want to go to college far away from home? Maybe because they want to experience new things, explore different places, and gain independence. They don't want to rely too much on their parents and family anymore. They believe that by living far from home, they can grow, learn new skills, and become better versions of themselves. Ban English, Traloy Onhun. Many students choose to study far from home because they want to step out of their comfort zone and become independent. By living in a new city or country, they get to explore new cultures, make new friends, and gain life experiences that they wouldn't get if they stayed close to home. It's a great way to grow as a person and prepare for the future. 4. How do young and old people react differently to new things? Young people tend to have stronger emotional reactions because they are still young, curious, and have less life experience. They get excited and easily attracted to new things. Meanwhile, older people have already experienced a lot in life, so they react in a calmer and more collected way. They don't get as easily impressed as younger people do. They get excited, sometimes even obsessed with new trends. On the other hand, older people tend to stay calm and collected because they've already seen and experienced so much in life. They analyze things more carefully rather than just following trends. 1. Is there anything special about the villages in Vietnam? I don't know much about villages in Vietnam because, I have been living in urban cities for most of my life, so I don't have much knowledge about them. But if I had to say something, I think the special thing about villages in Vietnam is the people. They are really close to each other, even if they are just neighbors. They tend to know a lot about the people around them, especially their neighbors. I don't know why. Maybe it's all about the culture. The way they behave and communicate with each other is quite different from how people in urban areas do. That's why I think the most special thing about Vietnamese villages is the human connection, the way people treat each other. 2. Why do people want to go to the countryside? Maybe because the countryside is really peaceful compared to the busy and vibrant life in urban cities, right? If you live in downtown or some urban cities, you have to deal with a very fast-paced lifestyle, and the cost of living is really high. But if people go to the countryside, they might enjoy a much lower cost of living. Also, they can feel the peace and enjoy the pure, fresh air. The air quality is one of the biggest advantages of living in the countryside. So, I think that's why people want to go there. 3. What do people usually do when they visit a village? When we visit a village, I think people usually go to visit their relatives. Yeah, and they also enjoy the sightseeing because the scenery in the village is really different from what we have in urban cities, right? It gives a peaceful vibe and brings peace to our minds. People tend to do that. Like, take my own experience as an example. When I visit a village with my parents, it's usually the time when my family visits and meets our relatives who live there. Also, we try some local food in the village, and we usually use our car to explore the sightseeing spots, which are really beautiful and peaceful. 4. Do you think people will live in villages in the future? Yeah, I do think that some people would like to live in villages in the future, but not many, because I think it's all about convenience, or actually inconvenience. Facilities, infrastructure, and services are really easy to access when you live in downtown areas or urban cities. But when you live in villages, it's much harder to get utilities or facilities in a convenient way, especially in Vietnam. So for me, since I live in Vietnam, that's what I think about it. 6. 1. Do you think schools should provide career advice to students? Yeah, sure. I do think schools should provide career advice to students because many of them don't have enough knowledge or connections to decide which career is right for them. They need help and guidance from a reliable organization, and schools are the best place for that. I think students tend to rely a lot on school advice because they trust their teachers and the education system. So, schools should definitely provide career advice to students to help them make better decisions for their future. 2. Who should receive a higher salary, young people or older people? It depends, right? I'm not sure because young and older people have different strengths and weaknesses, so I can't say which one deserves a higher salary. But I think salaries should be based on productivity and the value they bring to the company rather than their age or gender. 3. Do you think doctors should be well paid? Yeah, sure. I think doctors should be well paid because they work in a very important field. They are the ones who treat diseases and take care of patients. If they are not well paid, we won't have good doctors to help us stay healthy. Besides, doctors spend a lot of time studying to get their degree. They need to learn a huge amount of knowledge and spend twice as much time in school compared to other professions, like teachers or office workers. So yeah, their curriculum is much more challenging than other careers. That's why I believe doctors should be well paid to ensure we have highly qualified professionals in the medical field. 4. What kind of jobs deserve a high salary? Yeah, as I said before, the first jobs that deserve a high salary are those in the healthcare field, like doctors and nurses. Besides that, I think teachers should also be paid well. Teachers take care of children, who are the future of the country. They work with kids and teenagers every day, shaping their future. But nowadays, teachers tend to have low salaries, and I don't think that's fair. They deserve higher pay to boost their productivity and to be recognized for their hard work in educating the next generation. 12.1. What rules should children abide by at home in your country? I think children in Vietnam need to obey adults, especially their parents and teachers. They should follow what adults say for their own safety and well-being. For example, at home, they need to listen to their grandparents or parents and behave well. In Asian culture, children are usually very obedient to adults. Besides that, I think children should have a respectful way of speaking when talking to adults to show their respect and good manners. 2. What rules should people obey in public transportation? When using public transportation, people need to keep quiet to show respect for the public space. If they want to make a phone call or talk to someone, they should lower their voice. 3. Should schools have rules? Yes, schools have many rules that students must follow. For example, they must wear the correct uniform and follow the dress code. They are not allowed to dye their hair or wear clothes that are too short or too tight. 4. What kinds of things do people often forget to do at home? People often forget to turn off the lights when they leave their rooms, which is very common. They also tend to forget to lock the door when leaving home or forget where they put their keys. 5. Why do people forget things? I'm not sure, but maybe because people nowadays have a lot of things to remember and manage in a day. That's why they tend to forget things that they think are not very important. 6. How can people remind themselves to do certain things? I think people usually take notes on their smartphones or laptops. Some also write reminders on paper and stick them on places like refrigerators, desks, or calendars. Scorn 7. Is technology replacing traditional ways of remembering things? Yes, I think so, because technology is much more convenient than traditional methods like writing things down on paper. Smartphones and laptops allow us to set reminders, take notes, and even set alarms to remember things. 8. Is it possible that technology will replace human memory? I don't think so. I believe human memory is far superior to technology and cannot be replaced. After all, humans are the ones who create technology, so there's no way it can fully replace our natural memory. Also, if this were ever possible in the future, I think people in power would not allow it to happen because it could be too dangerous for human existence. That's why I believe technology will never completely replace human memory. 26. Is it easy to find quiet places in your country? Why or why not? Actually, it's not easy to find quiet places in my country. The population in my country is really high, so even when you go to suburban areas, it's still hard to find a truly quiet place. There are always a lot of people everywhere, especially in big cities where the population density is very high. Also, Vietnamese people tend to be loud when they are outside. They laugh and talk out loud, which is just a typical part of Vietnamese culture. That's why I think finding a quiet place in my country is quite difficult. No, it's quite hard to find quiet places in my country. Vietnam has a large population, and cities are always crowded with people. Even in suburban areas, it's not completely quiet because there are always people around. How do people spend their leisure time in your country? In my country, people usually have leisure time in the evening or at night. That's when most people finish work and go home to relax. Some spend time with their family, enjoy a nice meal, or just lie in bed and scroll through their phones. Others do physical activities like running, walking, or playing sports. Ban Chaloyon Hun. Most people in my country spend their free time in the evening after work. Some prefer to relax at home, spending time with family, watching TV, or scrolling through their phones. Others like to be more active and go outside for a walk, run, or play sports. It really depends on the person, but the evening is the most common time for leisure activities. Motor, Rugro 3. How does technology affect the way people spend their leisure time? Technology has a huge impact on how people spend their leisure time. In the past, people used to go out more, meet friends, or do physical activities like biking or jogging. They would also go to coffee shops to chat. But now, because technology has advanced so much, many people spend their free time online. They browse the internet, play video games, watch movies, or just stay at home watching TV. Bantrale Onhun. Technology has changed how people spend their leisure time. Before, people used to go out more, meet friends, and do outdoor activities like biking or playing sports. But now, with the rise of smartphones and the internet, many prefer to stay indoors. 4. Do you think only old people have time for leisure? No, I don't think so. I see a lot of young people, even those my age or a little older, who also have time for leisure activities. They entertain themselves by watching TV, eating good food, lying in bed and relaxing, or even doing meditation. Leisure time is important for everyone, not just old people. Banchale Onhun. No, leisure time is not just for old people. Young people also need time to relax and enjoy themselves. Many spend their free time watching TV, enjoying good food, or simply resting in bed. Some even do meditation to relieve stress. Leisure time is important for people of all ages, not just the elderly.